Hello, my name is Ernesto Gaytan, and I would like to share with you my presentation about problem number 5, the cryptocurrency and blockchain bubble. Have things gone too far? This problem talks a little bit about a person who works as a consultant, and her job is to provide sound advice to her clients about whether to make investments in cryptocurrency or blockchain. So throughout this presentation, we will try to cover a framework to educate and to help her customers to make decisions along the way about these two topics, cryptocurrency and blockchain. The framework that we built is meant to educate our customers, but also to help them make decisions as they are thinking about investing in cryptocurrencies or blockchain technology. This framework consists of three key parts. One is going to talk about cryptocurrencies by themselves. Part two is going to concentrate on the distributed ledger. And part three is going to talk about the general conclusion. As you can see, in each of these frameworks, we're going to cover a number of slides, talking all the way from timelines to a summary of what is happening in the cryptocurrency space, as well as in the blockchain space. And as we go through the rest of the presentation, we will try to ensure that our customers gain that knowledge and that understanding of what is happening on this technology space that is changing tremendously in the last couple of years. Cryptocurrencies are born in 2008 when Satoshi Nakamoto publishes a paper on Bitcoin and the bitcoin.org domain is registered. If we think about it, that's not that long ago. It's about 11 years ago. But in those 11 years, a lot of things have happened. A lot of things have evolved. And truly, cryptocurrencies have become stronger and stronger, although they have also faced significant challenges. Throughout their evolution, Bitcoin has suffered some setbacks, such as the one when it was hacked in 2010, just showing some major vulnerabilities, which eventually were fixed. But also other cryptocurrencies start emerging in 2011, and that's I think where cryptocurrencies really start to gain some more momentum in general and start taking people's attention. However, as time progresses, a number of things start happening, such as some major setbacks in either some of the cryptocurrencies that were created or some of the exchanges that were created to trade those cryptocurrencies. In fact, many of the currencies or cryptocurrencies that were created have disappeared over the years. A good amount of them, actually, probably over 600 of them. Some exchanges have gone bankrupt, and in general, there has been a continued evolution of cryptocurrencies and how they are spreading out globally, but they have failed to truly capture the customer's imagination. And to this stage in 2018, 2019, we're starting to see now some major manufacturers develop technology to help with the mining process, but still some governments are pushing back on the adoption of cryptocurrency, which is going to be probably a key aspect for them to be accepted in mainstream. So in summary, cryptocurrencies have had a tremendously fast evolution, credibility issues along the way, and with that comes also the volatility of their value, which makes them a very tricky investment for the long run. Now that we've covered how cryptocurrencies were born and their evolution, let's talk about how they work. There are two key concepts that we want to highlight here. Number one, cryptocurrencies are peer-to-peer currencies, which means there is no central body regulating the economic policy or the policy that will manage the value of the currency. And second, a cryptocurrency requires a distributed ledger. In other words, it's an open book electronic ledger where all of the transactions are made public with some level of privacy built into those transactions. So as we look at the diagram on the left-hand side of the page, we can see that when a person creates a request, that request goes to the network. And there is a concept there called miners. So the miners is a group of computers, people and computers dedicated to evaluate those transactions, and they use algorithms to validate and decipher if the transactions are correct and accurate. And if they are, once those transactions are fully verified, then a block is built. That block is going to have a set of characteristics such as its unique identifier, is going to have a very specific code to encrypt the transaction and protect it, but also it will include all of the information of the transaction value, the source of the who originated transaction, etc. Once you collected 400 transactions, those 400 transactions are added as one block into this blockchain, into this electronic ledger. And once that chain is attached, it cannot be changed. At that point, the transaction is considered complete. So, in summary, the way cryptocurrencies work is by starting with a request. The transaction then requires a significant amount of computational power to be validated and processed. This is done by miners. Miners are paid in Bitcoin when the transaction is fully resolved and added to the blockchain. 400 transactions make one block. And I think it's important also to note that Bitcoin in particular is limited to 21 million Bitcoins. There cannot be more than that in this particular coin system. Where can we use cryptocurrencies? Because of their digital nature, cryptocurrencies can play a key role where the ecosystem is already 100% digital, or where they could help to lower the cost of other complex transactions by removing intermediaries from the chain. Electronic payments is an area where cryptocurrencies are already gaining some traction. We see early stages of adoption from retailers and how they could benefit sellers by decreasing the cost they pay to payment processors. However, it remains more complicated to make a cryptocurrency transaction than it is to make a payment with a credit card or a debit card. While this continues to be the case, the adoption of cryptocurrencies in electronic payments will be nothing more than an experiment. Another key factor to consider in the adoption of these applications is to obtain some level of approval or some endorsement from governments around the globe. The lack of this endorsement will make the application of cryptocurrencies very limited, as their potential will be unrealized. If cryptocurrencies are evolving rapidly, why have they not become a standard for commodity exchanges? There are multiple factors at play, but we will highlight what we think are the most relevant to help us evaluate their readiness and their adoption. The first factor is confusion. Many people think of cryptocurrencies as an investment instrument, but they are not. Cryptocurrencies do not produce revenue, and this misconception leads to a lot of speculation that might be negatively impacting the value of the currency. The second factor is volatility. Because there is no central body driving monetary policy, the currency is flowing freely and makes it more difficult to determine its real value of acquisition. or purchase value. The last factor we will discuss is the cryptocurrency paradox. Any currency is meant to be a means of exchange, and its value is driven by how widely it's used and by the trust people has on that particular currency. In the case of cryptocurrencies, people tend to see them as an investment tool when they are not. That limits the utilization of the cryptocurrency, which is the main purpose, utilization. This then drives the level of trust downwards, which in turn leads to a minimum amount of utilization. So it's kind of like a feeding cycle. Wrong utilization drives the scarcity of the coin, and then that leads into a decreased level of trust. All these are factors to consider when evaluating cryptocurrencies and their adoption. In summary, cryptocurrencies have had a short life so far. The vast majority of them have failed. A number of them have managed to survive some major setbacks. Some countries are starting to think about the role cryptocurrencies could play in their economies, and we're starting to see some early signs of adoption. However, this is still very early on, and there are no clear trends showing that cryptocurrencies are here to stay. Their potential is unquestionable, just as it is the controversy they can generate. Now we enter section 2 of our framework, where we will cover blockchain. Blockchain, in my view, is the golden nugget of cryptocurrencies. Born from the necessity to record and track transactions, the concept of a distributed ledger has found life of its own. Turns out this technology might be able to resolve some big problems in a more global and more digital world. The evolution timeline is exactly the same as that of cryptocurrencies, with a few differences to note. In 2015, Nasdaq begins a blockchain trial. By 2017, several major European banks announced a digital trade chain using blockchain. These events propelled blockchain to be considered a serious technology on its own. Where can we use blockchain? Turns out there are many applications for this technology, ranging from the most traditional markets such as agriculture, all the way to managing fractional vehicle ownership in the sharing economy. But there is one area in particular where blockchain seems to excel in its early stages of evolution, and that is government transactions. Think about acquiring land or a property. These transactions are already public in nature, and people is used to do that. There is no need to adjust or no need to change or no need to disclose any additional information compared to a paper-based transaction. Blockchain makes these transactions faster, cheaper, and more transparent. This is true for many governments around the world. Blockchain can enable governments to simplify many of these transactions, improve personal identification, execute smart contracts, or improve how information is shared with healthcare providers. The potential for blockchain is real, and many companies are entering the space to compete for market share. What makes blockchain so special or so flexible? Because it was created as a decentralized ledger, blockchain has some attributes that can help in many situations, and there lies its potential for success. Blockchain makes transactions transparent, yet private enough to prevent sharing too much information. Because of the cryptocurrency origins it has, blockchain provides a very strong security framework and complete traceability of transactions. Having said that, there will be some challenges to clear in order to fully adopt this technology. One of the key challenges is the amount of computing power it takes to resolve or validate the transactions and to build the blocks on the chain. All this translates into high energy consumptions. As blockchain is adapted and adopted on a bigger scale, computing power and energy consumption will be in high demand. When we think about the adoption curve, we are still somewhere between early adopters and early majority. But in the end, blockchain is an emerging technology with some serious potential. A technology with major capabilities can attract some serious investment and some major players to develop its market potential. And that is exactly what we see happening with blockchain. Major players in the marketplace have made early commitments to develop the technology itself, or solutions leveraging this technology to improve their efficiencies and to resolve many other business problems. If we focus for a moment on publicly traded companies, we see how Nasdaq is using the technology to record private security transactions. We also see how IBM is leveraging the concepts to build its hyperledger, or blockchain as a service. We also see Hitachi using blockchain to transform its supply chain and operational strategy. And finally, Daimler is leading a great example of supplier management and auto financing with blockchain as a foundation. As you can see, some big corporate players are already engaged in this technology, which is a positive sign of adoption. In summary, cryptocurrencies have experienced some important setbacks and still have a treacherous path ahead. Their adoptions depend greatly on the backing of central governments and its ability to make electronic transactions simpler and more cost effective than traditional payment methods. In regards to blockchain, we are starting to see very serious investment in some applications with very convincing results. I believe blockchain has some great future ahead, and it could change the way we exchange goods and services as we enter into the digital economies of the future.